Destiny 2 sentiment, in my opinion, is at an all-time low. High-tier players are not playing the game, there is not a lot to do, and Trials is a big fat failure. Players are even suggesting that Season of the Worthy is worse than Curse of Osiris and are naming the DLC Season of the Worthless. My problems are rooted deep within the sentiment in the community. When sentiment is high, I feel like playing the game with my friends and I enjoy myself. When sentiment is low, I find myself being more annoyed with petty things. For example, for some reason barrel length matters in relation to the range of a weapon. Now, I wouldn't take issue with barrel length if it did not affect my day-to-day life in Destiny. However, it certainly does. Two of my favorite weapons, Thorn and Felwinter's Lie, are affected by the barrel length of their ornaments. This means it feels required to buy the ornaments to be successful in Crucible. Destiny is definitely treading that pay-to-win line. Speaking on the topic of Felwinter's Lie, can we just address the big fat failure that the Lie quest was? Seriously, Bungie initially screwed up by wording the quest incorrectly, setting Seraph Tower completions way too high, and then it was found out by players that the quest was bugged, blocking players from acquiring the weapon after hundreds of thousands of Seraph Tower public events. This quest reinforced the idea that Bungie is not game testing their game at all. All of these issues make me want to rip my spleen out due to the frustration within the game. To add on, vault space has not increased in a while, and inventory space is just a mess to control. It also seems like outliers in PvP do not get enough balance patches, with the exception of Hard Light, which just makes players more frustrated when being killed by these outliers.
Where the fuck are all of them? I fucking knew one of them was sitting in the corner. Where was this guy?
Oh my
Where did that guy just come from?
Marchers.
Destiny is becoming less fun to myself because titles are not fun to acquire. Initially when added to the game, titles were meant to be the endgame pursuit for hardcore players. Titles in Destiny now are not prestigious anymore. This is coming from a player who has the majority of titles in Destiny. I don't find any enjoyment in grinding titles anymore. I believe this to be the case because titles are now easier to get than ever before. The Almighty title is just a handout at this point, and the Enlightened title is a title most players will just get in the background without the flawless raid requirement. Every other title can easily be achieved in this day and age with a group of dedicated players. However, I still find myself coming back to titles and grinding them. Titles do not show mastery of an activity. Mastery of an activity is min-maxing your character to be as effective and efficient in clearing raids, not doing arbitrary one-time challenges. Now it is time to talk about the failure known as Grandmaster Nightfalls. I'm just gonna say this outright, Grandmasters are not the challenging feat that Bungie wanted them to be. In fact, the power cap for Grandmaster Nightfalls is 1025 power. The power level for the Grandmaster Nightfall is 1050. This means that players will only be 25 power levels below the cap. This is just artificial difficulty. In my opinion, 25 power levels below the cap is not a challenge. One could argue that the Garden of Salvation raid on day 1 was a challenge, and is similar regarding the Grandmaster Nightfall in terms of the power cap. And yes, the day 1 race of Garden of Salvation had artificial difficulty, but in addition to that, it had unknown mechanics to the players. The Grandmaster Nightfalls have the same mechanics found in the Strike Rotator playlist. Nothing has changed besides the extra modifiers, champions, and power cap. To put this in perspective, during the Warden of Nothing strike, when it was bugged, I was completing the Master Nightfall in an average of 12 minutes. I was 7 power level below the requirement, with only having a special finisher Izanagi's Burden, Recluse, and Wendigo. No real strategic planning required, just those weapons. Additionally, most GMs only took me 1 or 2 attempts with limiting min-maxing. This is with the exception of the Bloodhold strike, but most screw-ups within that strike are attributed to bugs and not player error. I just want to really quickly mention this, but speedrunning GMs can only be done with Hunters, as the nerf to Worldline removed all speedrunning possibilities with Warlocks. This change did no positives for the game, and it actually hurt it in my opinion. In addition to everything, I do want to discuss Trials. Before anyone says anything about Trials, I just want to place this out there. I am not a Trials god. I only have 1 flawless and average to above average stats. Therefore, for most players, I am not qualified to talk about the specifics of it. But I will say this, I have acquired the good loot and a flawless run, which means for all intensive purposes I am done with Trials. Trials of Osiris has many problems that other members of the community already addressed, and if I address them, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I literally have nothing to do currently, so I'm gonna talk about it. Trials is flooded with cheaters. I run into cheaters at least 2 to 3 times in one card. This is insane. However, I will say this. The more crazy cheats are becoming less and less prominent, which probably, most likely, can be attributed to Bungie's anti-cheat. Hopefully. But Bungie does not have an anti-cheat. Bungie has come out with their anti-cheat, but what they described is not an anti-cheat. They effectively changed the definition of anti-cheat, and you can't do that. An anti-cheat is a, quote, program made to detect cheaters and people using unfair advantages in video games. This system automatically bans or stops people. Bungie has people manually review each player report, which changes the definition of anti-cheat and is ineffective. To me, I don't know why Bungie won't do something similar found within most games, like having to connect your phone number to your account, or just outright stop the match in progress. All of these cheaters found in Destiny 2 means that no one knows who is legit. Whenever someone hits a 6 sniper play, most players assume that that player is cheating, which hurts the Destiny 2 sentiment.
He is private. Oh my god, bro. That's so annoying, man. Bro.
The enemy has match point, but you will not surrender.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, let's just back out. Let's just reset. It's a waste of time.
Really quickly, I just want to touch on the Destiny 2 stability. The Destiny 2 servers are just horrible. People are getting error coded out of their minds, and the game optimization for PC feels like it's getting worse and worse by the day, in addition to the engine, which is very old.
I just want to play the fucking game! I just want to play! And I'm 0 and fucking 5 now. And that guy's...
Overall, Destiny 2 sentiment is horrible. No one seems to be talking about the sentiment besides one regretful tweet from community manager DMG04. I believe his tweet regarding teabagging relates to sentiment, but was poorly worded, so it was met with poor reception. The sentiment is ruining the game, which incentivizes players not to play the game or enjoy it. I do not want this video to be seen as a Destiny player whining due to a horrible season. I want this video to be seen by Bungie and then be used by Bungie to improve their game. I love Destiny 2, but recently the sentiment has been getting to me and the whole community. Bungie needs to desperately take action and not just address these issues. Thank you for watching my rather long video. This is probably an inappropriate time to mention, but if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. 99.3% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. Anyways, I hope everyone has a beautiful day, and I hope everyone will stick around, and I hope I will see you guys next time.